Another peaceful night was passing. I was having a good sleep. There was some ambrosia nearby, in need of some harvest. Those cobras are out there, slithering around, crazy little things, making all kinds of noise, but didn't bug me much. A giant weird thrumbo creature was still out there too. Seemed like all the animals were at peace. I was feeling pretty awesome, about as good as a guy can. I didn't have much to complain about. When I woke up, I did a bunch of cleaning. The place is a real pigsty. The animals were getting short on food. Did some consideration on that. And I had myself some pemmican. Decided to get the last of my beer taken care of. Probably be the last batch I ever did. No reason not to enjoy one right away, fresh out of the fermenting barrel. I went to start picking up some bodies off my traps. That attracted the cobras, so I decided I'd certainly better not go back out there. At least until they went away. Don't need to deal with those buggers. They started bashing on my door, wrecked a couple of my traps. About that time, some stupid ship fell out of the sky. Bigger than the usual ship chunks that came. Brought some fire with it as well. Seemed like something was going to have to be done about that. That alpaca I'd brought back with me is still holding some gear, so I got that stuff put away. Lightning struck one of my wind turbines as well. It felt like I was having all kinds of rough luck here. Decided to make some kibble, lest the animals starve. Starting to get quite a few pack animals around here. I got all my corn sowed after the kibble was done. Did some butchering. There were all kinds of small creatures laying in my freezer. And after that, these alpacas need some attention periodically, so I sheared one of them. Got the wool hauled in as best I could. Decided to have another beer, which may or may not be for the best. One of the other alpacas needed shearing as well by then. The cobras were still out, down by my south door, but they weren't causing me much trouble. Decided to do some training to the alpaca, then have some pemmican. Of course, the ever-present mess was lurking around inside my house. Hamlet needed some attention by then, so I spent some time training him, and then I was off to bed. I'd had enough for the day. It was about 11 p.m., 10 p.m. Cobras are gone by the time I woke up, so I got the last body buried. There's going to be a ton of traps that need a rebuilding, but I decided to toss some horseshoes with my eyes closed, looking to the side, see how good I could do just on instinct, and I did alright. There are a bunch of them big, crazy buffalo-looking things down to the south. I think one of my captives, people I was healing, called them muffalo. Decided I was going to need some bigger pack animals, so I put it on my list to tame a few of them. I had some pemmican, did a little tidying up. Well, these traps are definitely going to need to be rebuilt, as security is tantamount around here. My doors kind of bashed up. Those cobras bashing into them with their faces. It's crazy them little snakes could do so much damage. Some steel doors. Flash storm started about then. Lightning and whatnot. And I decided I better get out, harvest the ambrosia before it goes to waste. It's always good stuff. It brings in some good money actually, so wasn't hurting for funds, but wouldn't hurt to stockpile some more. So I got all the ambrosia dealt with. Decided to run on out, see about dealing with them muffalo. That crazy ship thing was still sitting up there. Fires are spreading everywhere. I failed in my attempt to tame one of them muffalo. And I decided I'd run on over, see what this ship was about. Looked like it was killing all the vegetation around it. Certainly didn't need it killing off everything around my home. I grabbed my gun, decided to take a shot at it, see what happened. Looked like it could be destroyed. Wasn't terribly worried. When I shot it, some big crazy creature popped on out. Looked like he was pretty well armed, and he looked pretty tough. He was huge, and he was chasing after me. Fortunately, it wasn't the fastest thing. So, I decided to run off, go to bed, think about how best to handle this situation before everything around me died. There was some cobras in my freezer by now. Fire's just raging everywhere. And it looked like it was snowing over by that crazy ship. At the minute, I couldn't be troubled. When I woke up, it was cleaning time again. Then it was eating time. Gotta get the basics out of the way. Decided to have a beer after that. I decided to limit myself on the beer. Mostly because I didn't need to be all drunk while I was out trying to battle that creature that was out there. These crazy robots seem to find me wherever I go. I was taming a muffalo. Wasn't having much luck though. But there was a few I had my eyes on, so I kept working at it. Not having much luck in general. But that's alright. I feel like I was getting a feel for how them critters behaved, what they needed and what they wanted. Decided to go give some business to that stupid robot. I don't know why he's so angry with me. I was here first. Wasn't really causing him any trouble. I did not like the looks of that big crazy gun he was carrying, I can tell you that. I shot him up a bit, and he did some shooting back at me, spraying bullets like mad. Some little rabbit seemed to have taken a liking to him, which is pretty entertaining. They kind of looked alike in all honesty. Put some ears on that crazy robot. I hid behind some cliffs. Tried to shoot him up. Wasn't having much luck with the rain and the dark though. Gave a little bit of chase. Finally caught him. Decided he was going to shoot me up though. Fortunately, he had missed thus far in every attempt. But he was spraying bullets like mad. I was hiding, knowing he was going to come for me. His armor is pretty solid as well. About that time though, one of his bullets caught me right in the right hand. It was bleeding. Not terribly bad. I didn't think it was going to be a mortal wound, but I was going to have to deal with it. That thing decided not to chase me. I decided to go on inside, get myself taken care of. Didn't need this wound festering, getting an infection and dying or something. It's kind of hard to treat myself with my hand injured. I didn't do a very good job, but it could have been worse. At least it was taken care of for the minute. Pain was already lessening. Maybe some of that ambrosia would help me out. After that, I was off to see if I could get some muffalo. Pleasant feeling came over me then. That was nice. Seemed like my chances dealing with these muffalo was reduced, but I finally had some luck. So that was good. One more critter to take care of, but I was gonna need them when I decided to get out of here. And if I had too many, I could always butcher them up, make some extra food out of them. I was running on over, deal with that robot when some cargo pods came out of the sky. Decided I'd shoot up his ship a bit. It was really killing everything in sight. He did not like me shooting up the ship, that's for sure. As soon as I started popping rounds at it, it came at me. Those cargo pods, they dropped some fancy looking meals. I was gonna have to go nab those before they went bad or the animals ate them all. A meteorite of silver came down, smashed up my cemetery area, but that was real close to home. Not that I needed any more silver, but sometimes I just enjoy swinging that mining axe, so my wound was slowly healing. I decided to sit in my little guest room, just enjoy some peace and quiet, which it did. And of course, the alpaca needed attention. There were so many of them. There's always something to do with these animals. I was back to research then. See if I could make some progress for once on something while my hand healed up. Wasn't researching as fast as I could. It's hard to tinker with things with your hand all bandaged up poorly. The old DIY. After researching for a spell, I decided to run on out, see about giving that robot some business. Sadly, there was nothing nearby to hide behind. This is going to go on for a while, I suspected, being how tough he was. But I shot him up, and he started giving chase once again. I shot him some more, had good luck, popped all 3 of my rounds right into him. These 3-round burst guns, pretty nice indeed. I was eyeballing him from across the field as he was creeping closer. His armor seemed to deflect as many as it didn't, which was pretty sad. I was plugging him up pretty good though. For that I was feeling decent. Having only been shot once, I probably shot him 10 times by now. Sadly, with these rock formations, I couldn't get a good beat on him. I decided I'd run on back home. Yeah, I was plugging him up pretty good full of holes, but it didn't seem to be bugging him. When I got back inside, I went to bed. My hand was fully healed by then, and seemed to work just as good as new. So that was nice. The animals were out of food once again. I butchered up them snakes. Decided to run on out, see if I could tame that other muffalo. I didn't really have the right materials, making more animal food at the minute, so I was gonna have to do something about that. I failed while trying to tame that critter. I harvested a bunch of apples. When Hamlet was coming on out, helped me haul him in. It's nice to have some good, healthy food around. The alpaca needed training, one of them, and I had some success for once before I got back to researching. Then I decided to make kibble. I had oranges, peaches, potatoes, and berries. These animals are getting a real treat. I was debating on making some food, just in general for them, as I was having a coffee. Maybe I wouldn't have to be cooking up so much. Decided to run on out, see about giving that robot some more action. All I had to do, take a couple shots at his ship, and he gets mad, starts chasing after me. But he was pretty slow, wasn't getting any faster as I kept shooting him up. I seemed to be getting pretty good with this rifle. Oh, it was a masterwork. I was glad I'd gone and claimed it when I did. It made a real difference. Me keeping myself safe around here. If only I could find a way to get this big bugger. One step at a time, maybe my traps would kill him. I saw some jade in the mountain as I was running around it, trying to sneak up behind that critter. But he got wise, came back around on me. It was about that time. A bunch of tribes people decided they were going to come, try and steal what I'd made. Decided I'd better open my doors, see if they'd go on my traps. There's quite a few of them, sadly. I wish they'd have come on by that big dumb robot, or maybe I'd lured them out more. Maybe they could deal with each other for me. But it didn't seem like that was going to happen. So I just hid. When they came around the corner, started stepping on my traps. I started giving them the business. They were bashing up my door pretty good, but 2 of them seemed to have gone down on my traps. I was hiding behind my wall, shot one dead. Got another with the trap and a shot. Sadly though, there were so many of them, they got real close. But eventually, I got through them. They decided they were going to flee, and I decided I'd had enough of this. If it wasn't one thing around here, it was another. So as they were running, I was shooting at the wounded one. Should have let him go as a lesson, the rest of these jerks not to come back. But battle lust was upon me, which isn't even something I had before I'd come to this place. One of them people hadn't died. She was kind. Decided I was going to try and capture her. Maybe heal her up, so they'd know I wasn't a bad guy, and they could maybe just leave me the heck alone for a while. Her name was Frog. Kind of a weird name for a girl, but that's alright. She had a crazy top knot of hair. She was bleeding pretty good. I'd done some real damage to her, but I tended her up well enough. Thankfully my hand had healed. Some more ship chunks had fallen out of the sky around then. Fortunately they weren't the type, apparently loaded up with crazy little robots. I decided I was going to release Frog as I went to bed that night, as soon as she could walk herself on out of here. When I woke up, back to cleaning, eating some of those meals that had fallen out of the sky. And then I tossed horseshoes for a quick minute. Muffalo kept getting in my way, so did the alpaca. I had critters running everywhere. Frog was happy to get one of them fancy meals. My traps were going to need to be rebuilt, and there was a whole slew of bodies that were going to need to be buried. So I was going to have my hands full. Meanwhile, crazy robots over there screwing around, killing all the vegetation. It didn't seem to affect the animals any, so that was good. But if all the vegetation died, the animals would have nothing to eat. I had to fix up my walls and my door where they'd bashed it all up. And then I was off to bed once again. When I woke up, another fine meal was in order, and I decided to cut Frog loose. She's just one more thing I was having to deal with, and I didn't need that. So I shut down all the lights in the prison, started planting some hay grass for these critters. Maybe then I could just keep Hamlet's food inside, and I'd be making less of this stuff all the time. So we'll see how this works out for us. The animals seem to like the grass and random vegetation around, so that's good. I was running pretty short on steel, so some mining was certainly going to be in order. After I mined a bit, I decided to lay down, chill out, do some cloud watching. Despite all the craziness going on, the fact that everything was dying where that ship was, it's nice to take a minute to yourself. After that I ran on over, started shooting up that robot. He's a real schmuck, I can tell you that. Couldn't reason with him. I was yelling at him, telling him, hey man, why can't we be friends? He'd be a cool guy to have around. But he didn't seem to talk, didn't really seem intent on anything other than trying to get to me, shoot me up. So I was shooting him, running away, shooting him, running away. I decided to eat a meal. I was so hungry. That bugger almost got a good beat on me, so I had to drop that meal. The only thing I'd gotten out of it, a little bit of salad. But whatever, there's still bodies to bury, and there's plenty of food inside. I buried one of the bodies as I went through. Didn't want to be looking at these nasty old things all the time. Then I had myself a meal. And there was still traps to rebuild as well. So I finally got those finished. They had left all kinds of weapons. I wasn't terribly interested in them though. I decided I'd get the bodies buried. That's my next work. For now though, I was off to bed. Some visitors came in the night. I was feeling a bit crabby about all the dead bodies and whatnot, and I decided to go chat them up anyways. I sold them a bunch of clothes, some other drugs and stuff I didn't want, bought some medicine off of them. They didn't have a lot of money, but that was alright. I was burying bodies. One of my power cables exploded, which is unfortunate. My batteries are drained now, and stuff is going to need repair. I'd misinterpreted what that weird chem reactor was. Turns out it doesn't generate power. It just makes some kind of crazy chem fuel, which I don't really have much need for. I was contemplating that, what to do with it, as I was doing some mining. Perhaps I'll just sell the thing. Seemed like it worked pretty stinking slow. I was having myself a nice garden coffee, followed by a meal, thinking about all the garbage laying around my house. After a couple garden coffees, I was ready to get back to work. Stupid rat had set off my trap. If this keeps happening, I'll have to close my doors again. For the minute, I was sitting in the dark, enjoying the quiet. The hay grass and the corn are coming up nice. Yeah, I decided I was closing them doors at this point. Too many rats were running on in, setting off traps, thinking they could get their greedy little teeth on my kibble. I was going to butcher them up anyways. For now, I was off to bed. I had an alpaca get pregnant around that time, and there was still a muffalo that required taming. These animals are taking a lot of my time. I'm not really sure they're providing anything positive. Not like good old Hamlet. I made some kibble. For the minute, the hay grass was still too young, and I butchered up those rats. I had a goat self-tame around that time. Came running on in, happy as can be. Sadly for him, or her, as the case was, she was going to have to be put down. I have no use for a goat, and I got too many mouths to feed already. I could just get myself 2 or 3 of these muffalo. I could get rid of these alpacas. I was taming that other muffalo, not having much luck. I decided I'd better go there and see if I could deal with that robot, as more and more vegetation died around it. It was spreading out pretty far. The apparent death zone, at least the snow had melted around it. So I was shooting up its shit pretty good. Then I started shooting at it. I was wary though, didn't want to let it get too close. That certainly didn't pan out very good when I got shot in the hand by it. I could hear bullets tinking off its armor, blasting it up pretty good though. A little jerk. Seemed like that thing was nigh on indestructible. I was gonna need some high-power weaponry, but the sad part was I didn't have the range I was gonna need to be able to deal with it. It was slower than ever, given how much I'd shot it up. So that was a positive. It certainly wasn't gonna catch me, and I could get more shots off on it. I was hiding behind the mountain from it. Somehow, it seemed to know right where I was. I popped out, started blasting them again. A never-ending game of cat and mouse we were playing. Sadly, I was the mouse here. But he was so slow. This game was almost over. I could feel it. Maybe another day or two. I kept shooting and running. Standard ploy against this bugger. Next time I'll have to come up with something smarter. Be nice if I had some kind of decent weaponry or could set up some traps. Even some gun turrets maybe. Set those up and let them deal with it. I could probably lure it into my traps. About that time, Hamlet wandered into its range and it started shooting up Hamlet really bad. And I was screaming at it. Poor Hamlet, right in the front right leg, took a shot. He was walking alright, so he didn't seem to be wounded too bad. I was furious. I'm not furious enough to risk getting myself killed. But that was just out of line. You don't shoot a man's dog. Decided I'd better get myself on in and deal with poor Hamlet before something bad happened to him. There was blood and filth everywhere. I was worried he might get an infection or something. He was bleeding. Didn't seem to be bleeding terribly bad though. I ran off. My robot was giving chase, but he was pretty slow. So I grabbed some medicine, got the tendon to Hamlet, and did a pretty good job. I think he's going to be just fine. A meal was definitely in order for me. Then I was off to bed at that point. Transport pod came crashing down. Space refugee, 4 eyes. She was beat up pretty bad. I was so exhausted I was having a hard time dealing with anything, all this running around, shooting. So I was debating on whether I was going to be able to do anything for her. as I was cleaning up my room for the first time in a week probably. The place is such a pigsty. I had some hops rot away, but I was done with the hop game, so I didn't mind so much. I was running on out to see about taming that muffalo. I ran right by her, and I got to feeling bad. So as I was taming the muffalo, my conscience getting the better part of me. And I had some luck. I actually tamed the dang thing. Was able to communicate with it. It needs to go inside and stay. Then I decided to rescue Four Eyes. She wasn't terribly wounded, but she certainly wasn't going to live on her own. While I was carrying her in, another fella came flying out of the sky. Super ugly dude. I just didn't have the room or the time to deal with more people though. As it stood, Hamlet was fully healed by then, which was excellent. He came through. Sans issue, for which I was most fortunate and still most angry at that dang robot shooting him up. Some food was on the plate next. I was hungry, followed by some tea. Then I went and sat by Four Eyes, and we just chatted for a bit. She was sleeping, but it's nice to have somebody around once in a while. The death of the vegetation continued to spread around that ship. I decided I was going to go over there and shoot it up again, which once again lured in that big scary robot. But every time I shot him, it got a little less scary. It was so slow now. I didn't think he's going to have any luck of catching me ever. This certainly was out of hand, but one of my shots did indeed bring the big guy down. Then I decided to destroy that ship. It seemed like I could just fill it full of holes till it fell apart and see what popped out of there. I decided I'd bring that robot on inside. Maybe I could explore it, get some useful stuff out of him at some point. So I was standing there shooting up that ship, getting that destroyed. And lo and behold, there was some rather useful stuff in there. Plenty of steel. I got as much of it as I could hauled in. I left a meal sitting in the dirt in my excitement. But I'd get to that at some point. I dropped off all that crap I'd found from the ship. And then I went to bed, feeling pretty good for once. In all the excitement of the battle, I'd forgotten to feed Four Eyes. So I grabbed some good food, ran on in there, got her fed. About that time, some chem fuel popped out of that infinite chem reactor thing, which is interesting. I decided to run on out, grab the last of that steel, came out of that ship before I run out. And Four Eyes was capable of walking by then, which is good. She's recovering nicely. I admired that fancy statue I'd grabbed at one point. Then I was off to bed. My power is having a hard time. I think that chem reactor is sucking down too much juice. I had a caravan come in about that time. Some people with some stuff to trade. And that was interesting. I was feeding Four Eyes before running on out. I uninstalled that chem reactor in the interest of having more power around. That caravan's running around. I sold them a bunch of beer, a few other small things, bought some medicine. I also bought 2 slaves off them, a couple women. They helped me carry in the stuff. I'd had plenty of silver, so I bought them, and then I set them free. I don't like slavery. I don't take to that. And they were happy to be set free. I was sad to see them walking away. They were so enthusiastic about me. But in the end, this is my gig, not theirs. I don't need more mouths to feed, more people to deal with. So they got on out of here. I was working with one of the alpacas, trying to keep him tame. After that, I was back to research. Things seemed to be settling down a little bit. I heard critters squealing. Looked like another rat stepped on one of my traps. there's a downside of that. I decided to get to bed, not deal with it. When I woke up, Four Eyes needed some food. She'd be gone before too long, I'm sure. Went and grabbed that rat. Got my trap rebuilt. Before some invaders show up, try and smash me up. Hamlet's running around, hauling stuff. Being such a good boy. I trained that alpaca then. Had some success for once. And I was finally making decent progress on my research. Once in a while having to stop for food. Try and keep this place somewhat clean. If I could make a robot that would clean this place, that would be spectacular. For the minute though, that was not going to happen. These alpaca are constant work with the shearing and the training. But I was going to have to stay on top of it if I was going to have these critters. Perhaps I got a hold of them all too soon. I researched for a while. Had myself a tea. After that, one of them muffalo needed some attention. So I went and worked with him. Failed. Then I was off to bed as the lights were flickering like a dance party. Things were alright. I felt like I hadn't made much progress like I'd planned, but the hay grass was growing in. That should solve the animal food issues for a while. The vegetation was starting to sprout back where it had all died. That stupid ship. And I was feeling alright. Four Eyes seemed to be healing nicely. Another day was done.